the number of young people I know who are hardworking and show up on time who haven't had a somewhat successful career is very small. I'm
It's
like,
true.
now that I'm on the real world, it's like, do you know how hard it is to find people to just show up on time and do what they said they're going to do?
Yeah.
If you do that, you're already in the top half. I'm here with my good friend and colleague, Dr. Cara Rogers Stevens. We've been friends for a very long time. So good to have you here, Cara.
It's nice to meet you, Mr. Interim Provost
Oh,
Gregory.
thank you. Her name is Cara, obviously. I'm just joking. This is my good friend, Cara. It's nice to have you here. So you wrote a book, which is the greatest achievement of your life thus far. That's the thing that you have produced that has the most meaning and value. Nothing else in your life happened lately that's rivals it, I imagine. Is that right?
Baby book.
Yeah?
Yeah, I would say the baby has to edge out the book
Okay. Well,
ever so slightly. The
congratulations.
book took longer.
Longer than 9 months?
Oh, yes, the book took years.
Okay, tell us about the book.
The book was my dissertation. So
Okay.
I got to grad school and realized I needed an idea for something to do a project on in
Yeah.
order to get the PhD. And I asked my advisor, I want to write about Thomas Jefferson. Is there anything left to say about this man that hasn't been said already? And my advisor said, yeah, nobody's written an intellectual biography of Thomas Jefferson's book, Notes on the State of Virginia. So I started to investigate the journey of Jefferson writing his book, and I discovered it was super boring. And what I really cared about was how could the guy who wrote the Declaration of Independence, these words like, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, also have owned slaves.
Yeah, seems like a bit of a pickle.
It's a bit of a pickle. It's a little bit of a quandary. And so it had bothered me for years. And so I wondered if there was a way that I could find an answer to that question as I was working on my dissertation about Jefferson's book. And it turned out there was a way. It turned out Jefferson actually, in the process of writing his book about his home state of Virginia, criticized slavery very deeply and came up with a plan to try to persuade Virginians to free their own slaves by talking about how much slavery corrupted their state and how it would bring down the republic in Virginia if they didn't deal with it. So I learned a lot about Jefferson. I had a lot of fun working on this book, but I also managed to find out some new things, got to work with a manuscript that very few scholars had really worked with to date in order to make this case that maybe Thomas Jefferson was even more opposed to slavery than what people have previously given him credit
So your
for.
opinion of him stayed the same, improved, conflicted?
It
kind of all over?
improved.
Okay.
It improved because by the end, I didn't think of him as a hypocrite anymore.
Okay.
I thought of him as a man of the 1700s who was dealing with a lot of complicated circumstances, very different from what we live in now. So when he was born, nobody really questioned slavery. There were no abolitionist societies. It was a hierarchical world, and he was born at the top of it with lots of privilege. And what's actually remarkable about him is that he chose to undermine his own privilege and to try to reform society in a multitude of ways, in religious freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, voting for poor white men, all of these things that were revolutionary in human history that he spearheaded. And attacking slavery was actually something that he consistently did throughout his life, even though he didn't have to. He was largely unsuccessful, but he made great strides toward giving people the language to oppose slavery,
What do you think
the
his
language of natural
greatest
rights.
accomplishment was in the anti-slavery movement?
Declaration of Independence.
How so? How can writing words on a page? Come on, Cara.
The pen is mightier than the sword.
All right, tell me.
Every movement that has shifted America more toward equality, more toward freedom, has relied on the ideas of the Declaration of Independence. Now, Jefferson didn't come up with those ideas, and he would tell you that himself. He got them from other great thinkers of the Western tradition and from the mood of the time. He kind of just compiled the ideas that were alive in the air in 1776. But he did it in such a way that made them easy for other subsequent reform movements to grab hold of.
And he
use those
saw that and
ideas.
hoped that would happen? I mean...
Abso-freaking-lutely,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
Yeah, there's this great letter that he wrote right toward the end of his life where he said that he hoped that the Declaration of Independence would inspire people around the world to overthrow tyranny and to learn that people should govern themselves.
But there's no evidence that it actually has, right? I mean, nobody's actually, cited the Declaration of Independence or anything other than Us, we Americans, yes?
Actually, if you look at the countries represented in the United Nations, more than half of them have their own declarations of independence, and some of them use similar language to our declaration. Some of them use exactly some of the same words. So
Very
yeah, I
cool.
think you could say it's been pretty influential.
All right, fair enough. How do you teach this in class? How do you share this with students? I mean, have you spoken to students about this? How is it received by young people?
The book, or
The ideas contained in the book generally, or if you've spoken about the book to students, or
yeah, I've gotten to talk to students in my own classes about Thomas Jefferson. I get to offer a Thomas Jefferson seminar every now and then here at the history department. And it's always fun because Jefferson has always been controversial.
right?
He was a politician of his day that people either really loved or they really hated.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of controversies that you can investigate when it comes to Jefferson. You can look at, did he endorse genocide? Was he a racist? Was he an atheist?
All fun
was he a
topics.
Christian?
Right,
was
right.
he? What was his relationship with Sally Hemings? There
Sure.
are lots of controversies around Thomas Jefferson to discuss. So I have a lot of fun. I bring him up probably in all of my classes. My students get used to hearing me quote Jefferson because he had ideas that are relevant to a lot of situations that were still with us today.
Okay, very good. Your book's received some accolades, as I understand it. That's been reviewed a number of places as well, and I think currently it's even up for a fairly prestigious prize. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, so it's a huge honor. It's one
Yeah.
of the 5 finalists for the George Washington Prize.
Even though it's not a book on George Washington?
It's not.
Okay, all right.
George Washington does make a couple of appearances.
fair
I guess that's good enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the George Washington Prize is a prize that's sponsored by Mount Vernon, Washington University,
Mount Vernon, Washington's home.
Washington's
Okay,
home, yep.
All right.
And the Gilder Lehrman Society.
That's
and
at
so
Gettysburg College, no?
Gilder Lehrman, I think they are at Gettysburg, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they've put together this this prestigious award with a cash prize, and it goes to
How much dough are we talking, Cara?
I don't know if it's
I mean, are you gonna like? Is it enough to like? You're gonna just go buy a private island and throw away all your teaching? Like,
so my
forget it?
daughter's college fund.
It's your daughter's college fund.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Or lots of shoes for me. I haven't decided. Yeah,
Fair
we'll
enough.
see. We'll
All
see
right,
how I
good.
feel.
Maybe both.
Maybe both.
Yeah, I assume it's enough for both.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
good.
$50,000 prize.
Goodness gracious, that is real money.
Yes.
Is it really?
Yes, it seriously is.
Hi, I want to reiterate that we're good friends.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. That is a lot of shoes.
Yeah, it really is.
Okay. Well, in addition, I didn't realize it was also treasure in addition to renown. Very cool.
I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of one of the most substantial prizes that exists for a book like this.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard of such money for scientists, but not lowly humanists and historians and stuff.
I
That's really
know.
something else. Very
Oh,
cool.
I know.
Right. I mean, that's quite an honor.
Thank
So, when will it be decided? How will it be decided? Who's choosing?
There's an independent committee of scholars
Okay.
that put together the list of
With $50,000, one
finalists.
could bribe a certain number. Sorry, they'll probably have to cut that part, but
Yeah.
in any event.
I don't know who the independent scholars
Okay,
are,
all right, fine.
unfortunately.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so I got to go to Mount Vernon last week
Right.
and meet the other finalists and get interviewed there. And the thing was broadcast on C-SPAN. So that
It
was
was
that was
broadcast on C-SPAN?
it was.
Oh, wow.
It was
That's
a
really
lot
cool.
of fun.
Who interviewed you?
Yeah. Lindsay Chervinsky, she's the director of the George Washington Library there.
Okay, very nice.
And then the final decision is going to be announced at a gala or gala. I can never decide which one of those words. Gala. Anyway, one of those
yeah.
two in New
That
York
sounds
City.
fun.
It's going to be fun. Yeah, it's
In New York City?
in New York City in
Where?
October. The Union League.
That sounds even fancier.
Union League Club.
The
Yeah.
Union League Club?
Yeah.
Okay, very cool.
It's a fun place.
In October?
In October.
You'll have to dress up?
I assume I do. Yes.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really something else. How many other finalists? 4?
There's 4 other finalists.
Do you know them?
Yes, I had met one of them before.
Okay,
And now I know them all because I met them
Okay.
last week. They're
very good.
really great group of scholars.
Yeah.
One of them has just put together one of the first comprehensive biographies of John Dickinson,
Okay.
who's a founding father,
Sure.
about whom not enough is known. He needs to get a lot more credit.
Okay.
So I
There's a
personally,
college named after him. I mean, that's at least something.
there you go. Yeah. I might vote for that book. I think that's
What?
a phenomenal book.
I can no. Don't. Are you voting?
No, of
Okay,
course
good.
not. No,
Okay,
the
all right, good.
independent
All right, good.
scholars
I
are
was gonna say,
choosing
all
the
right,
winner.
all right.
Frank Cogliano is a great Jefferson scholar. He's written a book about Jefferson and Washington's friendship.
Okay. Very
There's a book
nice.
on the memory of the Revolution that's been nominated, and a book on Madison and foreign policy, and then my book on Jefferson and slavery.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Can you just talk a little about you're also one of the directors of the Ashbrook Scholar Program. You just talked a little bit about that
Yeah.
here at Ashland University.
Yeah, so the Ashbrook Scholar Program is a program that involves a scholarship,
Right.
but also it's a community of scholars, people who are interested and passionate about history and politics
Right.
in particular, who want to study great ideas and great thinkers and how they've applied to human history and human political societies. And there's a core group of professors here at the university who teach the Ashbrook Scholars. I get to be one of them. Ashbrook Scholars work with us over the course of 4 years. They take several classes with the professors in the scholar program. And then at the end, they write a thesis, which is a research project that they spend about a year and a half working on this. Any topic that they want it to be, so long as it's a serious topic. So people have written about everything from football to ballet to Star Wars and how it related to the American Republic.
Have any written with you on Jefferson?
Yes, one of the best ones that I've gotten to advise was a young lady named McKenna Graves, and she now works in the Washington, D.C. area as a museum curator.
Oh, wow.
But she did a fantastic thesis on Thomas Jefferson.
What was it on?
I don't remember the exact topic. I think it was something to do with Thomas Jefferson and the problem of slavery and Sally
Right.
Hemings.
What's do you know what museum she's working at?
No,
Okay,
I don't.
fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So, yep. So Ashbrook Scholars complete this thesis, and we say that scholars come into the program. They can major in anything that they want, so long as they minor in one of our topics, and they leave having learned how to read, write, think, speak excellently. So it's a program that
I've also been a part of that program for some time, and there's probably half a dozen thinkers who I would say kind of rise to the top or sort of guide the thought of that program. And I mean, Jefferson is probably front and center of that, wouldn't you say?
Yeah,
I mean, like the
definitely.
students all read the Declaration of Independence and that sort of stuff.
Yep.
So we're very fortunate to have, I'm very lucky to have someone of your caliber teaching in our program. So
Oh, thank you.
yeah, we're very lucky in that regard. And you also have I think there's a guy around that also maybe teaches like Lincoln or something like this. Maybe you know this guy.
Yeah, one of the best things that happened to me after I came to Ashland University to teach is I got a crush on one of my colleagues.
Did you now?
This guy down the hall from me.
Wow.
I had a crush on him for about 4 years. And finally, he asked me out.
Can you please just say more about how that happened and if anyone was very instrumental in bringing that about?
No, it was entirely down to the two of us. We handled it without anybody else in the department knowing. No, actually, apparently, the whole rest of the department was secretly conspiring to try to get us together. Yourself, in particular.
Yeah. Very
Did
good.
you even have a bet going? Was there some kind of
No.
Just
All
rumors
of
of a
my
bet?
bets are on award winners of historical books by the George Washington Center. Yes.
Yeah.
I
So,
reserve it for that.
yeah. Anyway, so Jason Stevens is the name of my now husband.
Yes.
So we got married a couple of years ago. In fact, I believe
Which is why the book. Oh,
you were involved in the wedding ceremony
yeah, that's right.
as well.
I officiated the wedding even. Yeah, very good point. Yeah. Which is why the name on the book is now different as well, I believe.
It's Cara Rogers Stevens.
Yeah, very good.
Yes, and the
Okay.
book's dedicated to him as well.
Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Even though he really came in at the ninth hour. Does he really
He
deserve
came
any
in
credit for
right
that?
at the end. He helped me get over the finish line. He did all
Okay.
of the final edits.
Did he really?
And really encouraged me at the
Well,
end
that's
there.
impressive. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's nice. That's nice to hear. What kind of classes do you teach other than classes on Thomas Jefferson here?
So I get to teach the American history surveys,
Right.
which is kind of the bread and butter of a lot of historians to just teach the basic survey class. I really love it.
Early American history, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I teach all the way through. We usually, unfortunately, end up with having to end with Ronald Reagan. We're supposed to go right up
Unfortunately,
until
with
the
Reagan,
modern.
Reagan's fine. He's starting.
Well, I'd like to go
Oh,
all
I
the
see.
way
You'd like
up
to go
until
farther. I see.
today,
Gotcha,
but
I see.
usually I run out of time at the end of the spring semester.
Good.
But yeah, I get to teach the first and second halves of American history. I get to teach a class called Age of Enlightenment, which is all of the ideas that inspired Thomas Jefferson.
Okay.
I teach a colonial history class. I teach a class on the early republic. I've taught American founding. So,
Right.
yep.
So mostly American things, but what about other sort of extracurricular things? I mean, don't you have? I see you sometimes in the hallway, like having tea, like other kind of just time wasting things. It doesn't seem very serious. People sitting around drink. Is that all you do? Just sit around, drink tea with people, or?
There is a group of students who are apparently more civilized than yourself, who appreciate the finer things in life.
Right.
We sit around and drink tea and eat cake, and we read Jane Austen novels
Oh,
and discuss.
there's
the
something
ideas
intellectual
in those.
happening in there.
Actually, yes,
Oh, that sounds lovely.
I believe so.
What have you been reading?
We've read 5 of her 6 major works over
Wow.
the last few years, everything except for Northanger Abbey, which probably we'll read this year.
So can you tell? I mean, you're an historian.
Yeah.
Your expertise is in Thomas Jefferson, early American history. I mean, what business do you have teaching young people about Jane Austen?
Jane
Cara.
Austen also cared about the pursuit of happiness.
Okay.
She lived at the same time as Thomas Jefferson, a little bit younger.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know that.
And
I guess you just don't think about where people are. Maybe this is why you're an historian and I'm not.
yes, it might be. I care
Yeah.
about the dates.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's alive during that time frame, and she's also interested in the ideas of the Enlightenment, and then going over into the ideas of the Romantic period. She cared about virtue. She cared about how does one live a good life? How does one find happiness in life?
Right.
And she was an expert on the human heart, and Jefferson also was very interested in the human heart and juxtaposing it
So
with
she's
the
a
head.
little younger than Jefferson?
She's younger.
Is there any evidence that he read her?
Not that I know of.
That's too bad. We should check with the library in Monticello.
Yeah, that's a great point. I need to look into that
I mean,
somewhere.
I feel like if I were a Jefferson expert, I would look into
I
the
can't
Jane
believe I
Austen.
haven't done that yet.
What a great idea, though, right? Because
Yeah.
you may or may not know that Jefferson read Xenophon, which is the guy that I really like, or at least apparently there are 2 copies of one of Xenophon's books in his writings.
Yeah.
And he says he was a fan of the memorabilia. So
Yeah.
yeah, but it's interesting to note if he read Jane
Jefferson
Austen.
had granddaughters. Maybe some of them would have read
Oh, there
Austen.
you go.
Yeah.
Very good.
I'll
Okay.
have to look into that more.
All right, I have another question for you.
Okay.
Like all Americans, I assume that your interest in Thomas Jefferson comes from your deep and abiding time here as a American through and through, right? I mean, you're born here, raised here, America, 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 right?
I am an American, but I was
Yes.
not born here.
What?
Actually, so I think part of the reason why I like Thomas
Yeah.
Jefferson so much and I'm so intrigued by him is I was born in a country called South Africa, which is, if you look at a map, right at the bottom of the continent of Africa.
Yeah. In the south part?
In the southern part,
good.
indeed. I was born in a city called Cape Town, and at the time that I lived there, the government was actually made up out of a group with a very racist ideology.
Yeah.
The legal system at the time was called apartheid. It literally means apartness,
Yeah.
and so there was a system of laws in place designed to separate everybody according to their racial definitions,
Right.
make them live in separate neighborhoods, go to different schools, have
Closest
different
analog
friends.
for folks at home would be like Jim Crow in the South, or
Yeah.
Yeah?
Like Jim Crow, I say like Jim Crow on steroids.
Okay.
So like that, except even more intense. And so my family left partly for economic reasons, but also partly in search of freedom.
Okay.
That my parents really hated having to be separated from other people and not being able
Yeah.
to read what they wanted, think what they wanted, have the friends that they wanted to have.
Yeah.
And America offered us freedom, and America offers a pluralistic society, a society of a lot of racial unity compared to what I was used to in South Africa.
Compared to most places around the world, actually.
Actually, yes. Yeah. Americans tend to think of themselves as having a history of racism and slavery, and they're maybe unaware that there are lots of places in the world with histories just as disturbing and in many cases more so and more deeply divisive. So I really appreciate the opportunity for unity and racial harmony that can happen here in the United States, and that the Declaration of Independence is a core reason why that is possible.
Do you remember the first time you read anything by Jefferson, or the first time you read the Declaration, or?
I don't remember the first time I read the Declaration, but I grew up, my first few years after we immigrated were in Washington, D.C.
Oh, I don't know. I
Yeah.
thought you were from Texas.
No, we immigrated to D.C.
Oh,
first.
whereabouts?
Silver Spring, Maryland.
Oh, I
And
used to
then
live right up the road from there.
my dad would commute into Georgetown every day because he worked at a school. And we actually left because of the commute being so terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty awful.
It's bad.
And there's no good metro stop in Georgetown, actually, so he probably had to commute and then walk.
Yeah, he had to use the Beltway.
Oh, he drove. Oh, yeah.
He drove. Yeah, it was a long, arduous drive.
Mhm.
But the great thing about living in D.C. is there are all of these museums.
Right.
There's the Smithsonian's, there's the Capitol building, there's the Jefferson Monument and the Lincoln Memorial, and there's battlefields, Civil War battlefields within driving distance.
Do you have a favorite memorial in Washington, D.C.?
Jefferson is
Yeah.
definitely my favorite. It's also where my husband proposed to me
Oh, that's very romantic.
on my birthday.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's fortuitous.
He really knocked it out of the park.
Yeah?
Yep.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, it was amazing. But anyway, so I really found myself as an American by going to historic sites
didn't know
and
that.
learning about the country and learning about the ideals of the founders.
Yeah, I assume your mom and dad took you, or?
Yeah, they also are big history buffs.
Okay.
And so going to those historic sites is kind of what helped us learn to love America.
How long did you live in D.C.?
We were there for 3 years.
Okay.
And then we moved to Eastern
And you
Tennessee.
were a kid at that point?
I was a little girl, yeah.
Okay. How old were you?
We moved when I was 7.
You
So-
left there when you were 7.
We moved from South Africa
Okay, so
when I
7
was
to
7 years
10.
old, 7 to 10.
Okay.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
so pretty formative years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. And from there to Texas.
From there to Eastern Tennessee,
Eastern Tennessee.
then to Colorado,
Colorado, I knew.
then to Texas.
Then to Texas. Oh, I had Colorado and Texas mixed up in my head, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah,
I've lived in a
all
lot of
over.
the same places as you.
That's weird.
I've lived in Texas.
Yeah.
I lived in Colorado.
Okay.
I've lived in just next to Silver Spring in Bethesda, Maryland, and College Park, Maryland. So on both sides of Silver Spring.
Very nice. Yeah, you were at the University of Maryland,
Mhm,
right?
yeah.
What were you doing in Texas?
Being born.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
That's
It was
great.
a big accomplishment in my life. It
Yeah.
was cold. It was snowing, apparently.
In Texas?
Yeah,
Are
apparently.
you sure?
No, I was very young. I don't remember.
That doesn't happen very often.
Right. No, I was born in Fort Worth, Texas. And then I didn't live in Eastern Tennessee, but I did live in northern Georgia. So pretty close.
Yeah, that is pretty close.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, actually. And then now we're
Interesting.
both in Ohio, in north central Ohio.
Yes, we both struggle a little bit with the weather in the winters.
Yes.
But we've
and
learned to
seasonal
adapt.
depression in March.
Have you gotten one of those bright sun lamps yet?
Now I need to do that.
You really do.
Yeah, I need to do that.
Yeah.
I'd work out outside partly to try and steel myself for the harshness of the elements here.
Combat the sun, yeah.
But the fall is lovely.
The spring is lovely.
Both weeks of the spring are lovely. I agree with you. Yes. The summer's great.
Summer's not bad.
Usually it's great. This summer was hot.
If this was the most
We're talking
humid
about the weather.
summer
This has got to really
on
sell.
record, yeah.
Yeah, people are coming for this.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But the fall is lovely.
The fall is lovely. Yeah. The fall semester is very lovely. That's right.
And the people who are from Ohio really love the weather here. They've adapted to it really well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I've not yet adapted.
I'm on my way.
Usually come March, I'm ready for a change. But
Yeah.
otherwise, I'm fine.
Yeah. Get the sun lamp.
So that's everywhere you've lived then. You did undergraduate in Colorado?
Undergraduate was in Colorado. Yep.
UCCS?
Yep.
Which is where I also grew up, by the way.
I studied English with a great Jane Austen professor,
Oh.
Professor Joan Ray. She's one of the world's leading experts on Jane Austen. So
Oh.
that's part of the reason why I love that topic.
Oh, well, see, that totally, your reading group now sounds legitimate to me.
Right?
So that's good.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then from there to Rice?
From there to the University of Texas at Dallas.
Okay.
So my husband and I were both living in Dallas
Simultaneously?
simultaneously
same
for a
time?
year,
Oh, man.
but we did not cross paths. He was
No?
at the University of Dallas and I was at the University of Texas at Dallas.
I see. Something got messed up there in translation.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Okay.
And then fortunately he came back here and I followed a few years later after Rice University
After
in
Rice, where you did
Houston.
your doctoral studies.
That's where I did my doctorate.
Yeah. So you studied early American stuff. Anything else noteworthy about your doctoral studies?
I studied 19th century American intellectual history, world history, and the history of the Atlantic world, which is a fancy way of saying all of the countries that touch the Atlantic Ocean.
Okay.
And mostly what I studied was the way that their economies were intertwined because of the slave trade.
Oh, wow. Okay. Give me the most interesting fact that I can relate to my wife about England.
About England?
Sure. That's on the Atlantic, right? Doesn't it touch it? I mean, I'm not a geographer either, but
Ooh. Can I do the most interesting fact about the Atlantic world
Let's do it.
instead of that?
Yeah.
The mosquito is responsible for the Louisiana Purchase.
obviously everyone knows that, Cara. Say something I don't know.
So,
mosquito?
yeah, the
Okay.
mosquito. So
All right.
there's this place called Haiti.
Okay, sure.
Was France's most profitable slave colony.
Right.
It produced, I think, like half of the world's sugar at one
Okay.
point.
Oh, wow.
And there was a slave uprising that resulted in France losing its profitable colony.
Okay.
Napoleon sent a bunch of troops to
It's
try
the
to.
1790s.
In the 1790s,
Right.
Napoleon sent a bunch of troops to try to take over Haiti again.
Right.
And most of those troops.
This is one of the examples actually Jefferson cites for why slavery is bad, right? Doesn't he point later to the rebellion in Haiti? Am I mistaken that?
It
Sent to
definitely
Domingo?
was in the back of his mind.
Okay,
Yes,
all right.
yes, that if slaves had been successful revolting there, they could be successful in
right,
the
right.
southern states as
Right.
well. And what ended up happening in Haiti is just about every white person was massacred.
Right.
So it was a very bloody and
Right.
successful in its way
Yeah.
slave uprising. Anyway, so
Mosquito,
Napoleon
though. Sorry, keep going.
Napoleon tries to take
Right.
the island back over and force these slaves back to work. And most of his troops died before they could even get off of their ships because of diseases carried by mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are actually the number one enemy of humanity, apart from other humans. They carry things like dengue fever and yellow fever and malaria. So all of these people died.
I don't want to offend our mosquito-loving audience members, so if you could please... No, everyone hates mosquitoes.
I would
Just
be
joking.
amazed if there are any mosquito fans
Right,
out
right.
there. Anyway,
I call
so
them skeeters. Do you call them that where you're from, too?
no.
No? Okay. Yeah, you're very proper. I'm sorry. Jane Austen, T. I know. I'm sorry. My family we call them skeeters. Anyway,
Yes, that sounds like a Georgia thing.
it does.
Yeah. Anyhow,
Anyhow,
all these
we're
people
gonna
die.
get there.
Napoleon has to give up on his sugar plantations in Haiti.
Right.
That means that he has a bunch of land that he has just gotten from the Spanish in North America,
Yeah.
the Louisiana Territory. He doesn't need that land anymore. He was going to use it to produce food to feed the slaves on the island of Haiti.
I see.
But now that he's lost Haiti, he doesn't need to have to defend all of this massive territory in North America. So he agrees to sell it to the Americans
On
who
the
just
cheap.
happen to be there trying to buy the city of New Orleans. And he says, well, how about you take the whole thing, 15 million bucks, all of these millions and millions of acres.
What a bargain.
And we took it.
Yeah.
And it's all because of the mosquito. If that had not been carrying diseases, history would have turned out completely differently.
How about that?
I know,
What fun.
right?
Okay, cool.
Hannah will like that story, I think.
I'm sorry?
Hannah will like that story.
Yes, Skeeters.
Skeeters.
Are the hero or the villain, I guess. Are the hero, right? I mean, otherwise we wouldn't have the Louisiana Purchase.
I mean, it
So you're
sucks for
saying
all
you don't
of those
like
French
mosquitoes.
soldiers.
Just to be clear, you're like, don't like mosquitoes, but we would not be America without them.
Exactly.
Is what I'm hearing.
Exactly.
So you wish the French still owned Louisiana, which, by the way, goes all the way to like Montana or something, doesn't it?
It's a huge amount
Yeah.
of territory.
Okay, so you'd rather that.
No. I'm very glad that
So
the
you're pro-mosquito.
mosquitoes
Are you
in
flip
this
flopping?
one
I just need to know
instance-
I just need to know your official mosquito policy.
Sometimes tragedies produce long-term good
That
effects.
seems like flip flopping, but okay, we'll accept it in this particular case.
Lemons, lemonade.
See, exactly. Mosquito aid.
There you go.
All right. Yeah, very good. All right.
Uh-huh.
You got anything for me?
How do you like being the provost of Ashland University so far?
That's a great question.
What is the provost?
I'm the interim provost of Ashland University.
Yeah,
The
what does
provost,
the interim provost do?
Right. So I'm the vice president for student affairs, or the chief
Okay.
academic officer, which means that what do I do? That's a different question, I suppose, is what's the purpose? I think that the chief academic officer of a university is sort of responsible for advancing the academic interests of the institution, trying to provide a mission, trying to provide a vision, and trying to help execute that vision as best as possible with allocating scarce resources toward those programs that seem best suited to help the institution succeed. Something like that. I help hire people. I help try to get people to collaborate. I try to help things like this happen. We're friends. I saw, because we're friends, you told me about this opportunity. I thought, man, folks should know about this. It's good for you. But it's also, I think, my job to sort of advocate for people like you who are doing good things and to show people that we have serious faculty at Ashland University who are doing great things, and that should be known. It should attract students. It should attract the respect of our peers. We should have a better reputation. It should grow. Do I like the job? I've been a professor for 20 years, and maybe that's not quite right, but and so now I've turned to the administrative side. I'm still teaching a class in the fall, which I'm very
good.
happy about.
Yeah. You're a great teacher, so I'm
Thank
happy
you
to
very
hear
much. We've taught together a bunch, actually.
That. We have.
You're also a
I
very good
always
teacher.
learn from you every time I'm in the classroom with you.
And I also learned from you. I also took delight in trying to ruffle you when you were teaching. But
You're very good at that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So do you have to restrain yourself as you're in
So
your
much.
new role as provost? You're trying to be nice to all of the people and not
So
just
much
ruffle their
restraint,
feathers.
So much restraint. Do I like it? It's. I feel like I'm helping.
I'm sure.
Folks assure me that when you're the boss, you have no idea. So I'm not like the boss now. There's only one guy bossier than me at the university.
Wow. So you're the number 2 guy.
I am number 2.
It's President Petey and then you.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah, at least on the interim basis. And people are saying that they think you're doing a good job, but now that you're the kind of the boss, you just have to wonder: are they saying that because they have to, or like is there
They're
some
just
truth
sucking
to
up.
it? What do they want exactly? I'll have to send them your way now because you have.
So can you give me a
$50,000.
raise?
See, exactly, right there.
Yeah.
Yes, I could. That's entirely.
I really
within my
like your
purview.
tie. Have I mentioned that yet?
You did. Yeah. So that's the kind of. Those kinds of personnel decisions are up to. So, like for example, I had one professor come and ask for a raise.
Oh.
A substantial raise.
Oh.
A dear friend of mine.
Oh.
And I had to make the decision that no.
Wow.
And because this dear friend of mine, Ashland University, can't match what this guy was going to ask for.
Yeah.
Another faculty member came to me asking for a substantial raise, fairly comparable actually in size. And I came to the determination that this probably is necessary for the well-being and functioning of this university. So, that was a weird kind of turn of events there.
Yeah.
I don't like my life day to day now. My life, you're a professor. What I love about being a professor, you're underpaid, as you jokingly referenced with asking for a raise, and as was I when I was a professor. But there are non-monetary ways in which the job pays. So, for example, freedom of your schedule.
Yeah.
You get a lot of time to work on your research,
Yeah.
as you mentioned. I'm now squeezing that research time into half an hour to an hour a day. often before 6 a.m.
Oh gosh.
Right. And I have no flexibility in my schedule anymore. So
Yeah.
so those are the downsides. And then just literally just like, I mean, looking at files and going to meetings all day. It's not exactly the ideal way to spend one's time, I think.
Yeah.
So
So,
I don't know. We'll see.
so having that time in the classroom is going to be a great outlet for
I just
you.
emailed the students yesterday and I said, as you can imagine, it will be great relief for my administrative duties to spend an hour and a half with good students and great books.
Yeah, absolutely. What are
Yeah.
you teaching?
I'm teaching Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics this fall.
Okay.
And I'm pairing it with Plato's Meno, which is a dialogue about whether or not virtue is teachable. And then the ethics is about teaching virtue. So,
Great.
yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm really excited. And I'm actually found some other short passages from Aristotle that I think I'm going to pair with it because I've been doing a reading group. You've been doing your Jane Austen reading group. I've been doing an Aristotle reading group with some colleagues for the last couple of years. And I think I'm going to pair it with sections of like parts of animals and on sense and sense perceptibles, which I'm pretty sure Jane Austen ripped the title of Sense and Sensibility off of Aristotle, just for the record.
Yeah.
And
Can you blame her?
and then maybe the metaphysics. So in other words, like I want to show students that Aristotle is also thinking about problems in the natural world and questions of being and the possibility of knowing, these kinds of things. So
Very cool.
but it'll be fun. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite books to teach. I think it's a good text for 18 to 22-year-olds to read and to, it can be ennobling, sort of make them think that they should pursue excellence and virtue and these kinds of things. But also try to expose them to the life of the mind as a serious alternative for how one ought to live one's life. Because Aristotle begins with that suggestion and he ends with a huge rhetorical case for the philosophic life that I think is highly rhetorical and therefore not entirely honest. But so the book is largely about courage and justice and moderation and stuff. But I think he's trying to show you that there's great pleasure in thinking too.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's one of my favorite books. It's great. He wrote it for his son, allegedly. So
Aristotle did.
his son, Nicomachus, apparently.
Huh.
The Nicomachean Ethics.
Oh,
I don't know if that's true. That's just what people say.
okay.
Yeah. That's all I'm teaching. I was going to do a first-year seminar, but just no time.
Yeah.
The aforementioned meetings and filing papers and TPS reports. It's all very technical.
And dealing with my request for a raise.
Yes,
Yeah,
denied.
that's going to take
That
a lot of
that
your
can be
time.
on the record right now. It does. Those things do take time, actually.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out if it's worth it, if we should. I mean, everyone, you always want to. That's the challenge of being in leadership, right? You're like, of course, I think everyone deserves more. I'd like to help
Yeah.
everyone.
But you have limited resources.
Yeah, the resources are scarce.
Yeah.
And one has to be a responsible steward of these things. So, yeah.
It sounds like a challenge.
It is.
Thank you for doing it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. All right, Cara. I have a question, and I'll ask it two ways so you can decide which way makes more sense. What's a piece of advice that you've received that you've carried with yourself? Or alternatively, if you could go back to 18-year-old Cara
Ooh.
and give her one piece of advice, what would you give her?
18-year-old Cara was a very intense perfectionist.
I'm glad to see you've loosened up.
Oh, yeah, so much. I have come to believe that that is a valuable personality trait in so much as it pushed me to try to be excellent at
Okay.
everything that I did.
Yeah.
However, it can really suck the fun out of life.
Yeah.
When all you're thinking about is how terrified you are to fail.
Okay.
And I wish that I had enjoyed more of my life
Okay.
and been less afraid of failing and more willing to embrace the fun of every day, the joy that comes with every day without worrying that I was going to let other people down or let myself down. So I think the advice would be to continue to pursue excellence and to try to do my best at everything, but also not to worry so much about being perfect because
fun.
Nobody is. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Good.
perfect
You think you're
is
doing
the
that better
enemy of
now?
the good. Yes, I think I've loosened up a lot more than I
Right.
was at the age of 18, but I'm sure I can still do even better.
Okay. Very
Yeah.
good. What do you do for fun now?
Oh
You
gosh.
have a baby, so there's not
Right
a
now
lot.
I have a baby and there's not a lot of free time, but
Right.
she's fun.
Yeah.
I've wanted to have a baby for a long time. And so it's a real joy to me that at this moment in my life, I got to find the love
Yeah.
of my life and get married and have
Yeah.
this family starting. It's really
That's
amazing
beautiful.
and fun. Yeah.
Yeah. What's
And
the most fun thing that she does right
she
now?
smiles at me.
Yeah?
It's incredible how much joy can come just from a baby smiling at you, especially because for the first few weeks,
Yeah.
she's just like a sack of potatoes. She just
Yes.
kind of lays there and
Yep.
screams
Yep.
and poops
Yeah.
and nothing really going on. It seems like
Right.
there's no relationship that you can really develop with a newborn, apart
Right.
from just this intense desire to protect her
Yeah.
that is instinctual. But once she started smiling and looking me in the eyes,
Yeah.
it's the
It
most
makes a
incredible
difference.
feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My oldest son is now 2, and in the last couple of days, he's discovered lying, but not in a I didn't do that, not in a mean way.
Yeah.
You may be surprised, Cara, to learn that my son really likes making jokes.
I can't imagine where he gets
I
that
don't know
from.
his mother, I suppose, but he last night he looked at me and he goes, "I pooped," and I was like, "Oh, okay," and I picked him up and I like turned around and he just started dying laughing. And I was like, "What? What?" Then I gave it a sniff, and I was like, "You didn't poop." And he was like, "Ah!" He was just dying laughing that he had tricked me into thinking that he had gone potty and needed a changing and
Told
didn't.
you an untruth.
Yes, and he was, but by the way, which goes back now. So maybe 2 months ago now, I took him to the library here in town, and
Yeah.
there are these books with pigeons in them, where this like cranky pigeon is the main character,
Huh.
and it was like a 5-page, those hard cardboard books, where you turn the page. So like the first book, like the pigeon's like, "Ooh, bus, I like a bus," and he's like, "Okay," and he turns a page, and it's like, "Ooh, a train, like bus, train," and the last one was, I can't remember, automobile. It was all transportation units.
Which Teddy loves.
He loves them, right?
Yes.
And then the last page is like a hot dog. All right. And he just lost his mind laughing
Huh.
because it was clear that his mind had already figured out that there was a pattern
Yeah.
and that it broke the pattern.
Yeah.
He like 10 minutes I couldn't get him to stop laughing.
That's
And
kind of the basis of humor, isn't it? When
Yeah, of
something
course.
unexpected happens, that's why we laugh.
I do think that yes, somehow breaking your expectations is key to laughter. Yes.
Yeah.
But then but I think it's coupled with the recognition that, sorry, this is going to be sounding way too intellectual, but coupled with the recognition that things are okay. I think if something unexpected happens and it's actually terrible, you don't typically laugh.
That's true.
So it's the expectation and then sort of the recovery of the hope. So in other words, it's just a book. Hot dog, silly. It doesn't mean anything. He laughs. But whereas if it had been something terrible, he might not have laughed. So yes, I think I agree. Breaking expectations is a big part of humor. But good.
Yeah.
So it's smiling. It'll get more interesting. I now have a newborn as well.
Yeah.
So I'm reminded of the potato character of an infant.
Yes.
He just started looking at us, just started making eye contact in the last couple of days.
Yeah.
So,
It's magic.
what's her name?
My daughter's name is Elizabeth Grace, and we call her Ellie for short.
And that's a very Jane Austen-like name.
She's not named after
Fair
Elizabeth
enough.
in Pride and Prejudice per se,
Mm-hmm.
but sure, it's a noble, lovely name.
Mm-hmm. And Grace?
Grace is just a characteristic that means a lot to me, and it's
Okay.
also, I think it's a family name of my husband's.
Oh, very nice.
And Elizabeth is on both of our family sides. Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. Now, can I ask you the same question that you just asked me?
My name, Gregory, my parents have no meaning to it. It's from the Greek for to be awake. I'm sure they didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah, Agarain. Mm-hmm. Fun enough.
To be awake.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And I usually am awake when
that
you see me.
describes you pretty well, actually.
Right?
Yeah.
They chose well.
It's a piece of advice that you carry
Oh,
with you.
right. Yeah, that's a good question. I guess one piece of advice that I followed when I was younger and that I regularly give to young people is, it's going to sound trite, but always do your best. So I was always very goal oriented in life. Like I was a wrestler and I tried to do well in school. And one of the reasons I did well in school in high school was, well, you got to get into a good college.
Yeah.
And then when I got to college, I was like, okay, well, here I am. And I remember I was mostly a B student in college because I didn't know there was anything after college. And so there's no goal. And so like I remember
Interesting.
there were some other problems I had in college, but I knew that if I had just, sometimes I'm sure you'll find this also not in keeping with my character, but like if a professor said something I disagreed with, I would still write what I wrote and thought.
Huh.
And that didn't manifest itself in the grade of A very often.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I don't care. Like I'm gonna get a B and it's fine. And so I did. And then my junior, senior year, I started realizing that what I wanted to do was to study Greek philosophy and
Yeah.
that meant grad school.
Ah.
But by then, 3.0 was insufficient for getting into a very good graduate school.
Uh-oh.
And so, I mean, I ended up getting good grades the last couple semesters, but it wasn't enough to turn things around.
Oh.
And not that 3.0 is bad necessarily. It just wasn't good enough to get in the best programs.
Yeah.
My test scores were great and all that stuff. But so what I learned in retrospect was if I'm doing something, I should do my best no matter what, because I don't know what doors it might foreclose not to do my best.
Yeah.
Like my 2 worst grades in college, this is completely true. I got 2 C's in college, and they were in the 2 easiest classes I took because I found them so boring.
Yeah. It
I was like,
wasn't worth
if the
trying.
professor's not putting in effort, why am I? Like,
Yeah.
whereas the hardest class I took my freshman year was calculus, and that was the only class that semester I got an A in. Because it was hard and because it was challenging and it was not ideological in the way that most of my other classes in the humanities were.
Yeah.
Like it was just like, figure this problem out. And I was like, I can do that.
Yeah.
Whereas in my other classes, it was like, tell me your thoughts on Frankenstein. I was like, well, here they are. And like, well, that's wrong. I'm like, well, okay, says you, right? So that kind of stuff. Yeah. So do your best. I mean, it sounds so silly, but
Yeah.
just because you don't know where it's going to lead, dress up, be on time, all the little stuff I tell young people, because we a lot of times you and I talk to parents about their children and they want to come study history or politics with us. And now that I'm in the provost role, I tell parents like, okay, outside of accounting or medicine, there really aren't a lot of majors that are super important that your child or student major in those things.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly they just, as you mentioned, they've got to learn how to read and write and think and do math and a handful of other things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just, why not do your best in these ways? I think I lost my train of thought a little bit there, but as long as you, I'm sorry.
When parents are talking to us about their,
yeah, I just sort. Oh, I'm sorry. I do remember it. So like, their parents are so worried about their children, and students are rightfully very worried about their own future. And I try to tell them like, don't worry about what you major in, just do really well.
Yeah.
And by the way, once you go out into the world, once you're done with college, and maybe you can say the same thing, but I don't know that many young people. The number of young people I know who are hardworking and show up on time, who haven't had a somewhat successful career, is very small.
It's
I'm like,
true.
now that I'm out in the real world, it's like, do you know how hard it is to find people to just show up on time and do what they said they're going to do?
Yeah.
If you do that, you're already in the top half.
Yeah.
And so I think that people put too much emphasis on in school, like, what's my major? What's this? I'm like, just do your best.
Yeah.
Who would you rather hire? Someone with a major X, Y, or Z, or this most interesting person who said, well, I took this, my major was accounting, but the most interesting class I took was this class on Jane Austen with this strange professor from South Africa who served us tea for some reason. And we read Mansfield Park, and I got to really reflect on the character of the domestic family and how aristocracy limits what options are available to women and how they have to navigate that, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, just that's so much more impressive of a young person, I think. Or I did a study abroad to Florence, and we stayed and saw some of the best art that human minds have ever created, right?
Yeah.
That's just, anyway, so... Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it said integrity is being the same in every situation.
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said for if you're going to have a successful life, if people know that you will try your best no matter what situation you're in,
That's right.
they're going to have a lot more trust in you and you're going to have a lot more opportunities open up for you.
Yeah.
And that applies to the college situation as well.
Yeah. And read more.
And
That's the
read
other
more.
advice I would give to young people.
Absolutely. Read
Or
books
to-
about mosquitoes.
Yeah, or Jane Austen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Or Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson and the Fight Against Slavery.
What didn't even say what the name of the book was.
Thomas Jefferson and the Fight Against Slavery.
By
That's
whom?
the name of the book, by Cara Rogers Stevens.
What press?
It is by Kansas University Press.
And what prize is it up for again?
The George Washington Prize.
And that's George Washington himself who's giving that prize?
I wish.
Yeah.